The day is November 16th, 2019. The Houston Rockets have just won 6 games in a row behind James Harden's scorching hot start, and on this night, the Rockets are in Minnesota playing the Timberwolves. However, despite their hot start, Houston would go down 10 points early and looked for an answer off the bench.
Harden swings it to Clemons. Moonball.
Man, I love Clemons. He just checked in. He's not even sweating.
So what's up, guys? Mike here, and today we are looking at a player who deserved much more recognition in Chris Clemons. Because last season, when Chris Clemons finished his college career, he ended with over 3,000 points and was the 3rd all-time leading scorer in Division I basketball history. But still, despite this, he went undrafted, and so the question is, why? Well, in today's video, we are going to answer that question, so let's get started. Players with underdog stories are always popular. The NBA is a tall person's league, meaning that a player with a height disadvantage is always an underdog and someone that people love to root for. There is plenty of evidence of this. The electrifying dunks of Nate Robinson helped to define the 2000s. Isaiah Thomas captivated the hearts of fans across America during his run with the Celtics recently, and it looks like now Chris Clemons could be the role model for short players everywhere who want to make it in the NBA. However, unlike Nate Robinson, who was a first-round pick, and Isaiah Thomas, who, despite being the last pick in the draft, was still picked, Chris Clemons would go undrafted. This is despite scoring 3,225 points in college, making him the number 3 scorer in Division I basketball history. And so the question has to be asked, why did the NBA ignore Chris Clemons when the 2019 draft came around? Well, the obvious answer here is his height, because Chris Clemons stands at just 5'9", but to Chris, that doesn't matter. He is used to overcoming adversity, because now we are heading back in time, back to when Chris was a senior in high school, and despite the fact that he was able to get buckets with ease, Division I interest in him was not high at all. Clemons only had a couple of low Division I offers, and so he was forced to commit to a lower tier school in Campbell University. But Chris Clemons always had bigger dreams. Being from North Carolina, he always wanted to be a Tar Heel, but unfortunately, North Carolina never even glanced his way. This was despite the fact that offers to higher level schools were clearly deserved, especially when you consider performances such as the game Chris had on December 26, 2014. Because on this day, Chris Clemons would face off against Brandon Ingram, and at the time, Ingram was a 5-star recruit who was being recruited by just about every school in America. As Clemons himself said at the time, quote, "In games like this, I always want to show coaches what they missed out on. I want to show them I'm better than they think I am. I want them to remember my name." And in this game, the unranked Clemons would accomplish this mission. Just watch on this play here as Brandon Ingram drives to the basket, thinks he has an open man to pass to, and then this was a statement play in a statement game, as Chris Clemons' team would win 74-54, and Clemons himself would finish with 37 points. As for Brandon Ingram, he would finish with 5. But still, despite games like this, no big time offers came for Chris, and the reason again for this was just his height. It really is this simple. Chris had just demolished a 5-star recruit and his team, but still, Chris was an unranked high school senior. With that said, the thing is here, you can't fully blame scouts, as Chris Clemons is a complete anomaly when it comes to basketball. As in the history of the NBA, only 25 players ever have stood 5'9" or shorter, which meant that after high school, Clemons would not attend North Carolina and instead took his talents to Campbell, where it should be no surprise that Chris would score in double figures in every single game his freshman season besides one. His high school coach would say at the time, quote, "If Chris was 6'3" or 6'4", he would be starting in the ACC right now. He's special." It was clear the talent was there, but again, at 5'9", the odds were stacked against Chris. However, There were two aspects of Clemons' game that would make him stand out way more than the average short basketball player. These were his aggressive drives and his three-point shooting. Because despite his lack of height, Chris has never had a problem taking the ball to the basket, as he has been able to harness his incredible quickness to score or draw fouls against much taller defenders. And as for his three-point shooting, well, in order to make up for his lack of height, Chris has developed a very high arc on his shot so that he could shoot over anyone guarding him. Both of these traits prove that despite the obstacles he has faced as a basketball player, Chris Clemons has shown a tremendous ability to adapt his game, and this has paid off big time. Because now we are looking at Chris Clemons' senior year of college, and in November of 2018, he was to be matched up against Allen Iverson's alma mater in Georgetown. Iverson was Chris's role model growing up, and as if to prove himself to AI himself,
20 to go down 10. Clemons at the top of the key, gets a pick three on the way. Yes! Chris Clemons. The crowd groans, some of them clap. Chris Clemons putting on a show in the capital city.
Against Georgetown, Chris would put up 45 points on an electric display of drives to the basket and high arcing threes. His performance was so impressive, he had Georgetown fans themselves clapping in awe for him at the end of the game. And Georgetown coach and NBA legend Patrick Ewing said at the time, quote, "He shoots the three like Steph. He gets to the hole and he knocks down free throws. He's a great player." Clemons would finish his college career with 3,225 points, which again placed him third all-time in Division I history for scoring. And during his senior season, he would also average over 30 points per game and set plenty of records along the way. And so, when overlooked in high school, Chris Clemons proved the doubters wrong. When he was overlooked in college, Chris Clemons turned the haters away. But even so, after proving himself as a star at both levels, Chris Clemons would go undrafted in the 2019 draft, which meant it was time to prove the haters wrong again. And so now we are at the 2019 NBA Summer League, where every player is trying to prove a point, but nothing is guaranteed. Chris Clemons is among these players, having been given a shot by the Houston Rockets, and now he is starting a game on ESPN where the spotlight arrives. And under this spotlight, Chris Clemons would open eyes around the league. This wasn't low Division I basketball anymore. This was the NBA Summer League, and Chris was ready to make a statement. In 5 games, Clemons would be the Rockets' leading scorer with 20.8 points per game, and this meant that he saw his opportunity, he seized it, and now he was not going to let it go from this point on. And because of this 5-game performance, Clemons would sign an Exhibit 10 contract with the Rockets after this impressive summer league. This type of contract is essentially less than a minimum contract, so again, nothing was guaranteed for Chris, but knowing how Clemons had faced adversity up to this point, no one should be shocked about what would happen next. Because yes, Clemons would impress a successful Houston Rockets team with his work ethic, and after Gerald Green was ruled out likely for the entire season, an opportunity opened up, and coach Mike D'Antoni openly said that Chris Clemons could help replace Green. This led to November 3rd, where Chris made his NBA debut, and against the Heat in 22 minutes,
5'9" Chris Clemons with the block shot.
From Del Boca Vista. Cephaloshu did not play in Brooklyn. Goes to Clemons, resets. Fearless.
Chris would score 16 points and connected on 4 3-pointers. Clemons would definitely make an impression early on. This was again showcased on November 16th in a game against the Timberwolves, a game that saw Chris drop 19 points with 5 3-pointers in a 20-point Houston Rocket win. And after this game, James Harden would openly praise Clemons, stating he made some shots, some big-time shots. His confidence continues to grow as he gets more minutes and he gets more comfortable on the floor. When his number's called, he's ready to go. From there, Clemons has continued to prove himself, while at first bouncing back and forth from the NBA and the G League. And in the G League this season, Chris would make a big time statement with 40 points against the Spurs G League team, yet again proving the man is a walking bucket. Which leads us to the day after Christmas, as Chris Clemons' dream was finally realized. Because on this day, the Rockets were impressed enough to give Chris a 3-year contract, which meant after all the hard work, all of the adversity, all of the obstacles he had to overcome, Chris Clemons has defied the odds and has secured guaranteed money for one of the more successful franchises in the entire NBA. Clemons was of course excited, stating, quote, "Nice little Christmas gift. It's a bit of a relief. I'm happy that my family is really happy about it. We're going to celebrate as soon as I can get them all together." He went on to further state, "I always had faith in myself that I was going to eventually come to this day. To everybody that comes into the draft and not get drafted, don't get discouraged, man. Continue to work. It will work out for you." And so wrapping up this video, guys, I am so excited to see what Chris Clemons can do in the future. I mean, the fact that he is 5'9" and gets playing time for the Rockets in his rookie season is already incredible. And to me, that shows the sky really is the limit for him. With that said, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. Also, of course, make sure to turn notifications on so you don't miss a video. And if you're already subscribed, thank you for supporting. You're awesome. We all know it. And as always, have an awesome day, and cue that music. By the way, if you're still here while the music is cued, here are 2 videos I think you are going to love watching. All you have to do is just click on either one of them on the screen right here. And other than that, guys, again, have a great day and peace.